probably seen the name Deadlock around here and there. If it's someone on social media chasing a trend or trying to insert their fan fiction into the game's setting, Deadlock is described as a MOBA, but it's usually described much more eloquently than just a MOBA. But what are MOBAs? You know how there's a lot of different genres of video games that cover an overarching system that's prevalent and then lumps it together with others of similar traits? Metroidvanias, Souls-likes, TF2 killers, MOBAs. Sometimes these genres don't fit the game they describe to the letter. According to Wikipedia, a Metroidvania is a genre of action-adventure games focused on exploring a large, interconnected, and non-linear world. Well, that just describes a lot of games that aren't Metroidvanias. Super Mario Land isn't linear, Legend of Zelda is interconnected, and Elden Ring is a large, interconnected, and non-linear world. Well, the term MOBA has the same application. MOBA stands for Multiplayer Online Battle Arena, which is kind of misleading. Team Fortress 2, Apex Legends, Left 4 Dead 2, Gunfire Reborn, Ark Raiders, The Finals, Escape from Tarkov, Battlefield, these are all battle arenas that are online and multiplayer. Then what's with the term MOBA? Well, back in 2003, the development team EUL created a community mod map for Warcraft 3 called Dota, Defense of the Ancients. Riot Games saw this and wanted to create their own version of Dota 1. So in 2009, Riot created League of Legends. Love it or hate it, League was inspired by Dota first. League did so well, they basically shoehorned and simplified the genre to be accessible to everyone. In 2011, Dota 2 started beta testing and went fully released in 2013. Now, why am I filling you in on this? Well, because for one, League was referred to as a Dota-like, and League hated that. So in order to be different from Dota and separate their games from each other to give the illusion of staunched creativity, Riot coined the term MOBA to seem entirely original. Now, bear with me, talking about League is important here. MOBAs in general are usually isometric farming simulators that are always PvP oriented. In-game, there's the ally and enemy bases, lanes, jungle camps, side objectives, and defensive structures. Ally minions and enemy minions come out of their respective bases at the exact same time, so if there's zero influence from either team, they'll kill each other and zero progress will be made. Contributing to the lane you're in gives the lane an advantage. Minions are full of currency, respective to the game that they're in, but in League, it's gold. In the jungle, it's usually a maze that are populated with neutral camps that can be killed for gold. Once you have enough gold, you can go back to a base and purchase items. These items are incredibly important and give major bonuses and benefits to your character, and depending on what character will change the type of items you should prioritize. Without getting too crazy into builds, if your character casts a lot of magic, then they would have no use for a physical item like a mace or a sword. This isn't always the case, but it's a general rule of thumb. Kill minions, kill enemies, defeat defenses, get gold, buy items, then push the enemy base, defeat the base, you win. That's as basic as I can make it for you to understand the initial foundation of this genre. So like how Dying Light took Mirror's Edge and added zombies and shitty cars, what did Dota 2 bring after its release to stand out amongst the already popular League of Legends? Oh fuck, all the characters are free. Oh fuck, it's on Steam? Oh fuck, it's actually good? Oh fuck, I can learn Russian? Oh fuck, it's so complicated! Dota 2, despite its similarities with League or Dota 1, is significantly more difficult with items doing insane things like change abilities drastically, dropping items on death, actives being completely unknown, and even an entirely different balance philosophy, but an important one. If every character is overpowered, then no one is. So if League is an easier version of Dota 2, where does the genre go from there? Is it forced to be perspective-based? What about lanes and minions? What about art style? Or even the ability to look up and down? Well, here's where Deadlock comes in. Crazy to actually bring it up on its own video, I know. Deadlock takes all the benefits of a third-person game and adds MOBA elements to it. Deadlock does not feel like a MOBA. Smite doesn't feel like a MOBA. Paragon, God rest its soul, never felt like a MOBA. The innovative additions to the genre kept its originality intact while adding ways to relate to the MOBA scene and compare them. Smite realized that the isometric view was dumb and stupid, which it is. Whoa, check that battle out. Wow. This is so epic. So Smite became a third-person game, and to no one's surprise, this shit is really fun. Paragon realized this was genius and gave their own game a Z-axis. You can aim and look up and down now. Deadlock took what Paragon had as its foundation and added a much more fluid and flexible movement with a great cast of characters to keep you intrigued. Deadlock is full of uniqueness that really stretches the boundaries of what makes a MOBA. Sometimes it's the little things, from adding denials from Dota 2 or adding a secret shop so you don't have to go back to the base to purchase an item. But Deadlock goes a step further and even reworks the backing system. In most MOBAs, there's a backing system. Need to go home and purchase items? You need to back. In a lot of games, it's simply a teleport home. Deadlock realized there's gotta be a better way to integrate this system or even improve upon it. There's nothing inherently wrong with the backing system, but it's a little boring and it's a little too safe. And you know, what's wrong with putting a little creative twist on it, or even making it a core part of a game's flow? In Deadlock, there's zip lines, or, you know, railways. The railways correspond to your minions. Minions are delivered via the railways, and they only go as far as they can until they meet an enemy minion on the rails. If the lane is pushed up far and there's minions in the lane, the zipline will travel until the furthest minion is reached. Minions are required to push towers. Minions reduce the resistances of the defensive structure they're attacking, so they're necessary when pushing. This encourages people to not push too far without clearing lanes and to watch their positioning. It also means if someone is caught out, they must be significantly more careful since there's no simple way back home. The ziplines aren't without their own problems though. You can also be shot off of ziplines, which will hurt you and stun you. Just because it's a fast way to travel doesn't mean it's entirely safe. This is just such an obtuse and strange change that shakes the meta so incredibly hard that it imbues an entirely new style of play. This type of creativity should be rewarded because it's actually really thought out. If you defeat the entire enemy team as they push your base, but none of the lanes are receding into their base, you have to clear the entire lane to push. This costs time, resources, and can even deny entire pushes because you simply don't have the minions or lane pressure necessary for a counterattack. And all of this is because the backing system is so unique. The walker system is also something I haven't seen before. So there's guardians, walkers, strongholds, shrines, and then the patron. Defeating the patron wins the game. But walkers are the second most important defensive structure in the game. You see these locked slots here? These are flex slots. These unlock with every walker destroyed. If you push one lane up the entire game but never get a walker, your entire team is lacking an extra item slot to keep them lethal. It's extremely important to take a walker when available. Not just because it's free souls for item upgrades, they literally give you the ability to equip a brand new item, which can change the flow of an entire character's kit. I've never seen something like that before, so it places an incredibly high value on strategy to take out an important defensive position when possible. And how could I forget the movement? In order to move from one place to another without using an ability, you just click. It's not the most intuitive way to move. In Smite, you use WASD. Without touching your movement abilities or actives, this is about as far as you'll get. In Deadlock, there's movement tech, wall jumps, sliding, dash jumps, dash downs, double jumps, clambering, climbing poles, and bounce pads. The movement in Deadlock is some of the finest in the scene. It's not even mandatory to learn this, but you know, getting the hang of a mechanic of a game will obviously grant you an advantage over the enemy. This opens up so much of the game, and when applied to combat, expands upon it even further. Another great plus to Deadlock is its overwhelming charm. Being developed by Valve obviously means the quality level must meet an expectation, and one of those expectations is the enjoyable characters. Memorable and enjoyable characters mean they're easier to enjoy their presence, and it also helps sell skins. But back to the charm. Every single character has a reason that they're in the game. The story is the characters are participating in a ritual to defeat the opposite patron. The winners will receive a wish from their respective patron. The wish can be anything, but who knows how it'll be granted? The Archmother is the personification and literal god of order, faith, and coerced manipulation. The Hidden King is the personification and literal god of the dwelling. He uses the underground occult waves to rule the lower quadrants through the cracks in the city and the alleyways that hide the forgotten. He also looks a lot like the King in Yellow, but I'm only supposed to pretend to be illiterate, so ignore me on that. The best way to feel about the patrons is the Archmother is high-key evil, and the Hidden King is low-key evil. They're voiced immaculately and have their own respective and charming personalities.
Rem, you are adorable. You are small but mighty, Rem. Let the blood of the Archmother's disciples paint the path home.
Rem is doing what he can to keep us standing. Sweet Rem, thank you for your aid. Rem, without your help, we would be in peril.
The Hidden King seems to be hiding something, but he does seem to care for our characters to some degree. Sort of a loyal crime boss vibe. Whereas the Archmother is definitely hiding something and only seems to be doing what she does to keep the status quo. Neither patron is evil, but I wouldn't say either of them are good. The playable characters themselves are overflowing with wonderful design choices and charismatic elements. Each character has a lore page you can read up on, things from entire biographies about your character to jabs and to more jabs. The characters aren't all finished with their final art designs or model releases, but their voices are well casted and their entire loadouts relate to either their profession or personality. Personality, charm, and well-written characters are a core priority for a game where you play as the same people over and over again in the same map.
I can't believe I'm working with an oversized rat.
Mole.
Apologies for saying the wrong rodent.
Lady Geist, for now our purposes are aligned. But if you wish for that pretty arm of yours to remain attached after the ritual, I suggest you be kinder to Maurice.
Smite tried to accomplish this, but came up short before their sequel. Gods in Smite will react to specific hills, but it kind of falls flat since they don't have much to say to many of the gods in the game, or react to much of the battles around them. In Deadlock, your character has unique quips and quotes for a majority of the game's active items. An example is Metal Skin, where bullets don't work on you while it's active. Many characters will shout that someone has used it, or even themselves have used it. This is such a nice change of pace in a MOBA, because it means I can lean on and even enjoy what my character has to say, because a lot of it is valuable information. The worst part is when you don't want to listen to anything you're hearing because it's not something worth listening to. I used to appreciate Embark for doing the bare minimum and let their voice characters react to every unique status in the game. That is until I saw it was AI, which robs the praise of the effort they deserve, since it doesn't take much effort at all to make more voice lines in the game if all it takes is a few lines of code. But in Deadlock, they all have so much to say, and they all say their lines extraordinarily well.
It's nice to meet you, Lady Geist.
Ugh, it talks.
It does. It also plays a critical role in your survival, so perhaps we should try that again. It's nice to meet you, Lady Geist.
Hello.
And so our friendship begins.
So once again, Valve puts more focus on quality control and getting the base foundation down before selling skins. What's even more interesting is that Deadlock isn't even finished. That's a real interesting part of the game. It's not an early access. It's a technical, invite-only playtest that has only garnered its player base through word of mouth. There is no marketing for this game whatsoever. Now, to give credit where it's due, Valve's name and reputation is enough to sell virtually any product. But there's a reason why the reputation is so well respected. Deadlock isn't even close to finish. There's bugs, visual errors, lacking VOs, unfinished characters, and yet it still is one of the most fun MOBAs I've ever played, and the player count and loyal numbers represent why. We are currently in a gaming environment where the vast majority of products are unfinished and still being sold, but Deadlock is free with 0 skins and still receiving high quality updates. And Pocket exists. I've seen countless games review bombed into the dirt that they didn't deserve the hate just because it has bugs. But because Deadlock is a product of Valve, it seems to get a pass, much like many other of their practices. However, I know I'm oversimplifying things, and understand these products aren't equal. I'm merely pointing out that sometimes, if you just create a decent product and focus on your community, then they'll return the favor in full tandem. I remember when Darktide first came out, and the servers were so overloaded it wasn't possible to create a party. But you know what worked flawlessly? A fucking cash shop to buy cosmetics. Imagine buying a full-priced game, only for it to be unplayable, but your ability to get your wallet milked worked just fine. Deadlock doesn't cost anything to play, participate in voting, or even add it to your library. You couldn't give Deadlock your money if you wanted to, so the respect of the developer goes higher than average due to the respect to the customer. It's a simple give and take. You make a decent product and let the community come together to fix it. It's not just that Deadlock does a good job representing itself, it offers something for everyone. A fun gameplay loop, characters that interact with each other, a fresh take on a classic genre, a respectable dev team, and a game that wants you to get better at every turn. The game is constantly evolving at a breakneck pace. When I first played Deadlock, when it was initially available, there was no lobby, just a main menu. There were 4 lanes and the map was much brighter. The patrons had no personalities and were just large Fushigi orbs. Pocket exists, so it's not hard to see why Deadlock's player base is so loyal to the game when competing dev teams just aren't as great as they might seem. Imagine if there was an entire update to Deadlock that was just skins. Yeah, I'd imagine the community community would be pretty sore about that. Deadlock has incredibly high highs and really low lows, because at the end of the day, it's a MOBA, where your progression and survival are dictated by not only your performance, but the performance of your allies. Now I could go and explain why each and every piece of the game works in tandem and successfully creates an engaging and fun gameplay loop, but that would assume I know what I'm doing, and unfortunately, I kinda suck at Deadlock.
Stop you, Calico.
Watch out. I'm
Nope.
with you. Oh my god.
It's because I'm mowing
He misses
Krill.
heavy.
Very, very close. Wait, how much health does he have?
He's got like one tick.
I threw sand at him! On the flip side, fortunately, I only have a few things that I dislike about Deadlock. The UI doesn't tell you all the buffs and debuffs that are applied to you, so you don't know what's entirely hindering or helping you. The tutorial is pretty bare bones. My teammates are Israel's greatest soldiers. The story is interesting but has a major flaw. I like it too much. All of these characters have a reason to participate in the ritual, and their backstories are so interesting at their base core. But because their stories culminate at the gameplay, we have no follow-up afterwards. It's mysteries and questions that'll never be answered. A good example of mystery is the Pyro in TF2. We don't need to know what's under the Pyro's mask, because he essentially is the mask. His real name, his voice, these aren't necessary because he himself has ingrained himself as the mask entirely. His flamboyant personality and happy-go-lucky bipolar mental illness is a part of him. What's under the mask is a mystery that doesn't need to be solved, but is interesting to think about. However, in Deadlock, I desperately want to know what happens with their wishes. I want to see where the culmination of the ritual ends up. Victor is a literal Frankenstein's monster. He woke up on the table of a mortuary and wants to find who created him and who the body parts he uses belongs to. He frequently mentions that he hates mirrors because he doesn't recognize who he sees in it. Paige only entered the ritual because she wants to find what happened to her missing brother. Abrams is a detective that is trying to find out what the deal is with the tome he carries. It's so important he literally handcuffed it to himself. Everyone keeps mentioning that book, and some characters even want the book for themselves. Abrams wants to use the wish to research the book and figure out its mysteries. Everyone has a wish that is ingrained to their personality and as a character. It's too bad we'll never see the aftermath of a wish, or a wish fulfilled, or even how the world evolves after the ritual. I know it's a moment of gameplay isn't canon to the story, but this world and its setting grip me like psych ward pussy, and I'll never see the result of anyone's wish. But, to be fair, all that's personal and only relates to lore in the story. The game itself only has a few flaws, mostly being UI and bug related. Deadlock is a great time, and if you're interested in trying it, the Reddit and the Discord have entire channels to get into the playtest. It's free and it's worth your time. I will say, Deadlock is pretty hard, and you won't pick up how it works even in the first 24 games. There's no lack of content to learn or builds to try from the community, and I'm hoping my video has convinced you to try it yourself.